Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. If you happen to catch last week's live, this is the sign insert that I painted for you. I went ahead after the fact. I just felt that the background was just too basic. So I stenciled on some snowflakes with light buttermilk. And that's how I will be offering this sign if you were to purchase it as a finished item. I highly recommend you stencil the snowflakes prior to doing everything else, but I just think it added a little bit more, and I like it so much. So, all right, let's get started on another insert. I'm going to be working on a Hello Fall insert featuring a scarecrow. I'm unsure what color I want to paint the background. So I'm going to work on the scarecrow first. Part of me kind of wants to do the antique white. I think it'll pop off of there. But I'll kind of wait and see after I get this painted. Also, too, I think I'm going to mix a little antique white and some light buttermilk to do the face. So, and I'm not big on mixing, but I think the antique white is a little bit too dark for me. So, I thought I'm going to try and mix a little bit and see how that goes. I hope everybody had a wonderful 4th. I wanted to come on yesterday, but honestly, it was so hot, and it's getting hot already, so I don't know how long I'm going to be on here for. And hopefully I get enough of this mixed up. So I'm going to be painting the face and then this little collar as well. And I'm just going to go ahead and use a brush. Just so I can go a little bit faster. Apply the paint a little bit thicker than what I normally would. Hi, Sandy. I don't know if you're still on here. I hope you had a nice 4th. Now I know this particular insert is gonna take a little bit longer than others because I'll be doing shading and highlighting and more detailed work. So I don't expect to get this done today. I like doing a lot of detailed work when I'm painting. I just think it adds more. When you're done. Yes, it does take extra time, but I just think the end result is so much nicer. I am getting in my score lines of my eyes and my nose. I'll just have to go back and dig that out a little bit. And I will do a little bit of shading on his face. I might even dry brush some cheeks. But I think mixing the antique white and light buttermilk is a good combination. I like that choice. I won't be doing any type of techniques on this as far as trying to make it look rustic or old. This is going to be strictly just the decorative toll painting style of painting. All right. what kind of dry brushing I can do on the face. I'm going to use a color called Terra Coral. I believe this is now discontinued. But I think it's just a really nice color for cheeks. And I like to take as much paint off as I can. And I'm just kind of going very lightly and just going above where the corners of his mouth is. I just want it pretty mild. If I happen to go a little bit below the area, I'll just touch it up with some paint. And I did go just slightly. And then I'm going to shade with Antique White. We'll see how dark that is. And if it's not dark enough, then I will probably do some cocoa, I think. It might not be enough because I did use Antique White. It's pretty minimal. So, I'll add a little cocoa. Maybe blend the two. I'm just looking for that shading to be pretty minimal anyways. But I am going to use just straight cocoa, I think, for under here. I need to widen that. So I'll pick a wider brush. And I think I want the shading a little bit darker where the cheeks are, and a little bit wider. So I'm going to just use a bigger brush. Like I said, his cheeks are very, very minimal. And then what we're going to do is glue this over top. And the rope will be a different color. It'll be a little bit lighter. I might, just to bring some darkness down, I think I will kind of do a little shading right here. Try and make it really light and minimal. I'm thinking his cheeks need to be a little bit brighter. It's kind of hard to, like, get a feel, as far as I'm concerned, for me to get a feel about my shading on the face without having the eyes painted and the nose painted. And I might do a little raw sienna, I think. Just to darken it up a little bit. And to give it a little bit more of a orangish cast. I'm going to paint his nose Persimmon and go back and shade it with a little bit of burnt orange, and then probably like a little bit of add some brown to it as well. But you want to do the shading on his face first, and here's the reason why. If I was like to paint his eyes first before doing the shading, when I go to shade, I'm getting that shading color on his eyes. Now, I didn't care about getting, it didn't bother me to get the shading color on his cheeks. I feel that it just kind of pushes the cheeks back a little bit, and that's what I wanted. So I'm okay with that. But I didn't want to get that shading on the eyes, or even possibly, you know, on the nose if I had a really wide float. That's kind of how I do things. I'm not saying it's the right way. It's, you know, everybody has their own way of doing things. It's just what works best for me and gives me the result that I'm after. So I'm going to go ahead and paint these eyes as well. I'm still undecided what color I want to make his shirt. Because he's going to be holding a pumpkin. So orange is out. If I did a yellow, it might blend in with his hair and hands. I'm not sure about that. I kind of want to stick with fall colors. So I'm just a little bit unsure. And I don't know how long I'm going to paint today because it is really hot. And the ceiling fan is not cutting it. So my husband and I did not go and watch any fireworks. There was plenty to view by neighbors. No need to go out. So I'm going to take some tangerine and try and do just a very small highlight. Down the one side of the nose. I don't have to go over that again. I want that a little bit wider. But I want more shading on the nose than I do highlighting. And this tangerine has a tendency to fade. And then I'm going to shade down the side with some burnt orange. And this is just a little bit darker. So it might not make a big enough difference. And if that's the case, I will have to find another color. So I think I'm going to use some ox blood. This is like got more red in it than orange. I hardly ever use this color. Like I said, it's got more red than orange in it, but it's a pretty color. I don't think you can see it. I'm even going to throw in a little burnt sienna just to darken it up a little bit more. Just around the very bottom. And that's such a small area to shade. And I have a smaller brush that I need to be using. And I think I'm going to highlight a little bit more. This little brush ain't worth a hoot. And I would never buy it again. You just have to decide how much detailed work you want to put into your project. Okay. Okay, I know I'm gonna paint his hat honey brown. And I need to paint inside. And we will be darkening that up with some shading. something I realized is I didn't put score lines for the hat band. Hi, Donna. So probably what I will do is just have to eyeball it. Because if I don't put a hat band on there, it's gonna look pretty boring. Yeah, it'll be pretty boring. So I think the color I want to shade underneath this hat band is asphaltum. I want it pretty dark. And I'm not going to worry about going behind the hair right yet. That might be a little bit too dark. I need to build it up, and that's a little bit too much. So let's cover that up. I normally shade with milk chocolate when it comes to the honey brown. So alright, I'm going to do some camel as a highlight, which this color's retired. Kind of like to just go around the outside where the humps are. Then I kind of want to just do a highlight right there above where that score line is. just gonna go around this brim of this hat just to lighten it up a little bit. I mean, and this will fade, and I'll go back over it just to darken it up here and there. Because I do want it noticeable in some areas and just pretty minimal in others. Okay. I need to take my Williamsburg blue and see if I can paint a hatband. And I'll go back and fix that file. I'm just kind of going with the curvature of that hat. And this is real skinny right now, but I will go back and widen it up. I'm just trying to basically get the proper curvature. And there'll be a sunflower added to this as well. Not too bad. Take some milk chocolate. My paint is drying so quickly today. It's a little bit difficult to float. It is not blending as nicely as I would like it to. I'm just trying to get a shadow. I'm gonna think I want his headband to be a little bit wider. So we'll try that. I was happy it might be a little bit wider than it should, but I'm gonna keep it. I'm not gonna fuss with it. I'll need to go over that. All right, let's put back a little of that asphalt on. Just to darken this up a titch. All right. I know I want winter blue as the highlight for this hat band, and I want it to be pretty light. So I'm going to use a wider brush and really just put a little bit on and really blend it. I rather go back and add more highlighting if need be. And honestly, this is way darker than what I wanted, but I'm hoping that it fades. I think it will. And honestly, I think that shading needs to be a titch darker. And here's the thing, if you ever get too much highlighting or shading on something, all you have to do is go back and float the base color over it. Just water it down really, really good. And just use a light touch. And what it does is it actually will soften the highlight or the shading out. I mean, that's really what I wanted in the first place, was something very minimal. So that just calmed it down. And I'm happy with that. Okay. Let's dot the scarecrow's eyes real quick. And you always want to use fresh paint when using a stylus. I want a little bit bigger than that. I always like to go back and dip my stylus back into the paint when going to do another dot. That way it makes it even. If I'm looking to go from bigger to, you know, smaller dots, then I'll just keep it, you know, just keep going. And as I keep hitting my surface, the dots will get smaller and smaller. And I think something that's thrown me off is because I don't have this painted, and it just looks out of place. It's throwing me off. So. All right, I'm going to use a little Payne's Gray to shade this hat band. So basically what I'm doing in a sense is kind of giving this hat band a little ombre effect. And I'm gonna hit the top of this brim of this hat with some of this camel just to brighten it up a little bit. And if I have to, I'll maybe even hit it with some buttermilk, I don't know yet. I think with the hair not being done, it's kind of everything's throwing me off. I'm just really thrown off here. I hope I have some more golden straw. Or I'm in trouble. And I'm just going to take a paintbrush and hopefully I can paint this without screwing up my score marks too much. If I have to, I'll go dig them out. And I'm just trying to get some type of coverage. Might have to take a smaller brush. I am going to have to go back and take out these score marks. I think I'll put one more coat of shading on this hat band. I'm gonna do his hands. And normally I do a lot of detailed work on the straw. But I think this time what I'm gonna do is just take a liner brush and just highlight edges with the light buttermilk.
Hello.
Hi, honey. And then I usually shade. Yes. Why? And then I shade with honey brown. Sometimes I even throw in some burnt sienna just to darken it a little bit more. But I think what I'll do today, instead of trying to, float shading, I'm just going to use a liner brush and throw color here and there. Just to, cause separation, add a little bit more interest to those areas. And technically, I should have probably painted this pumpkin first. I always like to start with the furthest back and work my way forward when painting things. And after I do this, I'm gonna take a break. I need to empty my water. And my husband just got home, so I think he needed something. So, I need to see what that's all about. Okay. All right, I will be back shortly. Hopefully you stick around. Let's try and do a little highlighting and shading just by doing some liner work. I'm just going to take some light buttermilk and water it down. Like I said, I'm just going to use a liner brush. And just kind of highlight these. And it's just going to add, you know, a little bit of different color. And it's real minimal, and that's what I'm after. This isn't normally how I do this, but because the area is so small, I don't know. I'm not liking that at all, to be honest with you. So, let me get a small liner brush. Small. Just not liking that. That's just not how I highlight and shade. So it just, to me, it just doesn't look right. I'm just trying to get a little bit of color. I'll take this honey brown, try and do a little shading. Just trying to add a little bit of color. Just to break it up a little bit. And I might have to go back and re-highlight in spots. Because in some areas I did get too much brown. A lot more than what I would have wanted. So don't be afraid to go back and re-highlight and shade. Like I said, I spend a lot of time on detailed work. And I think once I'm done with this, I'm going to wrap this up for today, or at least this session, because it is just too hot and my paint is not reacting the way I would like it to. It's just drying like really, really fast. And just making things a little bit more difficult. And I don't know how you folks are, but, to me, painting's supposed to be relaxing and fun. And when it's warm like it is right now and your paint is drying fast, it's not fun. I feel like I'm having to work harder at what I'm doing, and I don't want to do that. So I think I'm gonna get a little raw sienna and darken some of this up a little bit. Alright. I think that's about it for this time. I may come back on later if it cools off. As of right now, it's just too darn hot. So, so just stay tuned. If you're following my Facebook page, you'll see when I come back on. I didn't get as far as I wanted to, but it's just it's difficult today painting. Just difficult. But this is kind of where we're at, and he's gonna be cute. So until next time, take care. Bye bye.